In this week's Jaunts with John T, we continue our adventure in Guatemala, visiting some of the country's fascinating ruins. We visit the Mayan city of Iximche and also look at some of the ruins that can be found in the city of Antigua Guatemala. We even have lunch in a restaurant with a view of the ruins. Howdy, and welcome to Jaunts with John T. I am John T, and this week we are going to continue our look at the country of Guatemala in Central America. My wife and I recently returned from a visit to Guatemala where we had a wonderful time, and one of the interesting things about Guatemala is its rich history. And it's not just a rich history, it's also a violent history. And when I say violence, I don't necessarily just mean the violence that people bring upon one another, even though that is definitely part of it. There is also the violence that is brought on by nature. And sometimes that violence can lead to places being destroyed, and sometimes they never recover. And what are you left with? You are left with ruins. And Guatemala as a country has some very fascinating ruins. And we got a chance while we were in Guatemala to visit some of these ruins. Now, probably the most famous of the ruins in Guatemala is Iximche, which was one of the last cities ever to be built in the Mayan Empire. I had previously mentioned violence of the natural kind, and that would include earthquakes. And there was a major earthquake that hit Guatemala in 1773 and pretty much destroyed the town of Antigua Guatemala. There are some ruins left from that earthquake, and we were able to take a look at those as well. So why don't you come with me on this jaunt as we go back and look at some of the ruins of Guatemala. People played here the Mayan ball game. So this was like a little stadium.
Exactly.
Yeah. This shape of this foundation, which is the sacrificial altar, is basically the shape of a Mayan cross, which is kind of a square cross. It was called the Sun Temple. Interesting. Moon Temple. You said this here's the Mother Earth Temple, this one?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. That's why this comes.
So during the equinox, the sun rises over this temple, and then it sets over that temple, or over here.
Where the pine trees are.
Basically, where the pine trees are, where those trees are. Okay, gotcha. So, but it rises over here behind us, and then sets over there. Okay, cool. We're now going over to an area that it is still used today by the local Mayan people to perform certain ceremonies, which is pretty cool. He also said that in Guatemala, approximately 50% of the population is of Mayan ancestry, with the other 50% being a mixture of other ancestries. So this is the area where still they perform Mayan ceremonies. I mean, you can tell because there's fresh, obviously there have been recently been fires here. It's really cool. You can smell the charcoal and the burned wood. I can't tell if these are, no, they're stone. I was going to say, I couldn't quite tell if these were stone or wood, but they are stone. So it's interesting. There's a bunch of votive candles here as well as, so I guess they mix some Catholic stuff into their ceremonies. Interesting. Well, we just took a ride on a Tuktuk, so that is something we never have to do again.
Took all my fillings out.
Took all my fillings out, exactly. Well, that's going to do it for this week's Jaunts with John T. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to hit the like button. We really had an interesting and informative time looking at these different ruins around Guatemala and Antigua Guatemala. And it was fascinating to look at these ruins and to try to imagine and think about what they were like when in their heyday. What did they look like when they were new and beautiful and in their full glory? Now here at John T, we go on jaunts around the world, around the country, around the state, around the city, and sometimes just around the house. So if that sounds like fun to you, please be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because that way you'll be notified of future videos. Well, that's going to do it. I am John T, and until I can figure out a better sign off, thanks for watching.